It was a game of missed chances in Jerusalem. It was another day of controversy out in Dumbo, and shots rained down on the police in the second city. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Waterhouse Mini Stadium, where only one team kept their cool. This is Match Week 6 Review Show. Yeah, people, welcome back to Jamaica Fan. We only had 5 matches this week, but the action and the drama was on full display. But as promised, we head to Waterhouse, where the hosts were looking to make amends. First, the 11 for Firehouse, centre back Earl Simpson makes a rare appearance, former Phoenix Academy product Mario Sims gets a start, and there was no Colorado Murray, so Javian Bryan is the main striker up front. As for the Maroons, Colombian Taborda gets his first start, Daniel Mitchell captain the side, which means, surprisingly, regular captain Andre Vanzi is on the bench. Now, when the game started, both teams started with a quick tempo, and thus, no team really got a chance to settle down, but it would be the Maroons to threaten the goal first with this header, but it was armless in the end. After that, Waterhouse would be the ones to really kick the game into high gear with this commanding Campbell free kick that almost caught out Prince Daniel Smith on his near post. That would be the catalyst for a crazy 5-minute spell where we saw action at both ends of the field, making the game open, which both teams enjoy, of course. So it was always going to be about who blinks first, and that would be the Maroons, who left themselves exposed for a counter-attack from the set piece, and Denard Thomas did well to take the ball 40 yards before finding Mario Sims, who did enough to get the ball past Smith and into the goal. 1-0, and once again Waterhouse has taken the lead at home. That goal took the win out of Chapelton's sail, and from there, their attack lacked cohesion. While Waterhouse was a bit lucky to keep 11 men on the field, here Bignall deserved his yellow card for this cynical challenge, but just over a minute later, he was late with this one, which easily could have been another yellow card and seemed sent off. But the referee had mercy and let him off the hook. That would be the last major action before the halftime break. Second half now, and the Maroons made an attacking change in bringing on centre forward Levon Williams to try and spark something in the attack, but it would be the hosts that seemed more likely to score in the early proceedings. Then honestly, the game got dull, with Waterhouse learning from the past mistakes and being cautious going forward, and the Maroons still struggling to connect their midfield to their forwards. And thus, their head coach Donovan Duki drew for his trump card and switched to a back three and pushed Rabino Gordon high up the field to join the forward line. That got things rolling again, as all of a sudden, Waterhouse found acres of space to operate and create numerous deadly chances, so it was a gamble by the Maroons. One day will lose with this cross picked out Denley Deacon in so much space, he needed another Waterhouse player to mark him. Deacon trapped the ball well, waltzed towards goal before calmly tucking home his team's second. 2-0, and surely Waterhouse won't lose the lead from here. Well, their job got even easier moments after that when Prince Daniel Smith, who was already on a yellow card, charged all the way out of his goal to allegedly confront a fan in the stands. That stunt got him into the crosshairs of referee Perry, who gave him a second yellow card and an early exit from the match. Captain Andre Vanzi had to take one for the team and don the gloves, and he would face a penalty kick soon after for his troubles after Leacock was taken down in the box. The Bajan decided to take the shot himself and easily beat Vanzi to give his team the cherry on top to cap off a memorable night. So it was all Waterhouse in the end, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, the hosts dominated in total shots category with 10 compared to the Maroons 4. Also, they managed to get 7 of those on target, and while we only had 8 fouls conceded in the match, we still managed to have 7 yellow cards and 1 red that was dished out by referee Perry. Okay, let's start with Waterhouse first. It was clear they spoke amongst themselves about what happened in the previous weeks about defending a lead. They were more cautious in their approach and made a concerted effort to manage the game out. Good on them, and it should bode well for the rest of the season. As for the Maroons, I did state that they would prefer an open game, but it was a bad look to give up the first goal. And from there is where the real worry lies. Their attack at the moment, the simple lack cohesion and vision, and they really need a playmaker to put his feet on the ball and start to dictate the play. I'm eager to see how they hope to correct this in the coming weeks. Anyway, once again it ended, Waterhouse 3, Chapelton Maroons 0. Now we turn our attention to the night's opening game, where the winless Molynes United was taking on Portmore United. First, the lineup for Molynes: new Nigerian striker Wisdom Ubani is benched for Jason Wright. Marlon Pennycook will join Jason Wright in the attack, and Mena Cuesta was another Colombian and displayed tonight. As for Portmore United, no surprise after the impressive win last week over Montego Bay, coach Rudolph Austin made an unchanged 11 for this encounter, with meaning Evans, McGregor and Orlando Russell leads the line once again. Now, when the game kicked off, it was a steady start by both teams, but it would be Portmore who carved out the game's first big chance after Marcus Reed did some good work here before finding an unmarked Orlando Russell at the back post. But Darren Denai came up huge to deny him at point blank range. After this, Molynes grew into the contest and then was awarded their own golden chance to take the lead after Marlon Pennycook was dragged down in the box by Stephen Young and a penalty was awarded. Now, before I get to the penalty, I'm surprised no one made a bigger case that this was also a red card offense, since Young deliberately denied a goal scoring opportunity, unless the referee thought with Pennycook going away from goal, it wouldn't be a certain chance he would score. Anyway, it would be Jason Wright to take it and it would be Daniel Russell to save it. A brilliant stop by Portmore's number 1 kept things level. But Molynes kept up the pressure and were now the ones playing better football, but they were no closer to finding the game's opener. Then Portmore would get a golden chance themselves after it literally fell out of the sky, but Peter McGregor snapped shot but was well saved by Donay once again. The keepers will keep this one scoreless until the halftime break. Second half now, and Portmore came out the more aggressive and would produce another big chance at the back post, but the St. Lucian Darren Denai was on his A game tonight. After that, Portmore would continue to control majority of possession, but they could not find another route to Denai's goal. For the remainder of the match, both defense did their job as both goalkeepers got a breather and the game would peter out into a tame 0-0 draw. So the keepers were the stars on the night, but how was the game stats? Portmore led the way in total shots category with 11 to Molynes 6. Molynes had 3 on target while Portmore only had 4. And Portmore were the only ones to commit a foul in this match and also picked up the game's only yellow cards with 3. Okay, I will begin with Portmore. Kinda anticlimactic this result, especially after the impressive victory over Montego Bay last week. I asked in a preview show how this new attack would fare against a defense that gives them little space, and they never exactly live up to that challenge tonight. As for Molynes United, that first win of the season continues to elude them, but this was another solid performance. Goal scoring is still a problem, but today's focus should be on Darren Denai's epic performance. Anyway, once again it ended Molynes United 0, Portmore United 0. So with Portmore dropping points, Racing had a big chance to widen the gap at the summit of the table when they faced Tivoli Gardens. First, the starting lineup for Racing: Captain Markovich Brown shook off a knock to lead the team. Damian Herrera comes into the team as well, and Aaron Enel is once again the main man between the posts. As for the visitors Tivoli Gardens, Nathaniel Francis kept his spot in goal, so too did last week's goal scorer Kevin Wilson, and Radico Wellington also shook off a knock to start the match. Now, when the game started, it was fairly even by both teams, although it would be Racing with the first shot in anger. But Tivoli seemed up for this one and caused problems of their own in the 3rd minute when this free kick delivery caused chaos in the Racing box. They were pinning the Stallions back and really should have taken the lead when Nelson rounded the keeper, but with the goal gaping, he sent it high over the bar. Racing was trying to fight back with their own combination play, but Tivoli was resolute in defense and via Nelson led a good counter down the other end that almost bare fruit. Then around the 15th minute, Racing was starting to retain the ball much better, but Tivoli continued to produce the more dangerous chances, including this curling effort from Kimberly Smith. He would again be in the thick of things, but he and Tivoli just could not find a breakthrough right here. But as I always said on the channel, football is a cruel sport, and if you don't take your chances, you might get blindsided. The entire Tivoli team owned Francis as well as the post some praise after both combined to deny Racing an opening goal against a run-up play. 0-0 it remains. After this, the game got a little physical as both teams were eventually cancelling each other out as the half went on. Racing would end up with more of the ball, but didn't produce anything of note, and the halftime whistle would be blown with both teams locked at 0-0. Second half now, and it was a decent start to the half by Tivoli, but Racing eventually caught up to speed to even out things again. And honestly, for the next 10 minutes, there wasn't much happening until we got another controversial referee decision. The Racing attacker went tumbling down in the box from a challenge from Tivoli's Alton Lewis. Referee Dewar wasted no time to point to the spot, awarding a penalty. Now, looking at the footage again, it looked like Lewis' trailing leg got the ball first before any contact was made with the Racing player. And it seemed Mr. Dewar's assistant agreed as well, as he aided his center referee in reversing the decision. But some people are saying, how could that assistant who was so far away from the play make that call like that? Anyway, the score remains 0-0 at this point. The game's tempo sped up after this as both teams found new energy, and Tivoli came the closest to breaking the deadlock from this long show. The game was now getting stretched as it was Racing's turn to get a shot on target, but it was well tipped over by Francis. He was again called into action after his header was on target from the corner kick, but again the big man did his job well to keep his clean sheet. While at the other end, Aaron Enel had to be just as impressive to pull off this double save to deny Tivoli a breakthrough. At this point, it was practically a keeper war, as Francis would go flying next to deny Racing once more on a strike from long distance. There would be one more scary moment for Racing when Tivoli struck the crossbar late in the match, but they would survive and the game would come to an end at a fair 0-0 scoreline. So the referees and the keepers played a big role, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, Tivoli had more of the ball with 52%, while Racing edged things in total shots with 10 compared to Tivoli's 9. 4 on target for the host, while 3 was on target for the visitors. 81 dangerous attacks for Racing, while 72 dangerous attacks for Tivoli. Now, starting with Racing first, not their best game, but it wasn't too bad either. Sure, they again gave up a bit too many chances to Tivoli, and Enel had to come to the rescue a couple times, but overall, it was an okay performance. However, that's no back-to-back games of them scoring, so maybe a little worry in that department. As for Tivoli, everything I criticized about them last week, like the lack of running, passion or fight, they corrected this week, which bodes well for the rest of the season. But the big discovery came in goal, as Nathaniel Francis was outstanding, and if he keeps some consistency, surely the number 1 shirt is his to lose. Anyway, once again this one ended, Racing United 0, Tivoli 0. Now, staying with Sunday matches, we head to Catching Hall, where Treasure Beach was hosting Harbour View in the first game of a doubleheader. First, the lineup for Treasure Beach. After scoring last week, Jaheim Harris kept his spot. So too does star striker Ryan Porter, but Captain Shaquille Jones misses out. As for the stars of the East, former Captain Ajani Talbot makes an appearance in defense. Raul Parchment also starts and joins him in the back line, and Thompson made way for Akosa Chung up front. No, it was actually a good start by Treasure Beach. They took the fight to Harbour View early and generated some chances, especially via Newber's free kicks. But Harbour View hung in there and eventually got their mojo going to finally get some control of the ball, but they would open up Treasure Beach thanks to their opponent's own mistake. That saw Rowan Brown stream down the right channel into the box and had a clear mind to make a heel pass to his captain Trayvon Reed, who made no mistake to open the scoring. 1-0 and momentum has officially switched. In fact, Harbour View almost got their second just moments after when Chung found himself open in the box and cracked a shot at goal, but Morgan was well positioned to tip it over. The Stars of the East kept up this pressure for a while until Treasure Beach worked their way back into the match. Here they took a short corner before working to the top of the box. While the shot lacked vigor, it was actually the ideal lob pass to Porter, who directed towards goal and passed the hapless Davis to give Treasure Beach the equalizer, 1-1. And that's how the scoreline would remain entering the halftime break. Second half now, and Harbour View started the better and carved out some decent looks at goal, including this volley attempt that made Morgan have to keep his eye on. Treasure Beach would eventually fire back and had some decent looks at goal themselves, including this long-range effort from Porter that forced Davis into making a good save. But that would be Treasure Beach's last major chance, as it would turn out to be the Morgan vs Harbour View show thereafter. He especially had a good battle going with Rowan Brown, and the Treasure Beach shot stopper did well to win those duels. Harbour View pressure was relentless, and they would produce one more great attempt for the winner with his header from Daniel Watson, but again Morgan was in the right place at the right time. The Stars of the East would not find the winner, and the game would end with the points being shared. So it was a stalemate in the end, but how was the game turned out stats? Both teams were dead even on total attempts with 8 apiece, but Harbour View had more on target with 5 compared to Treasure Beach 3. It wasn't a dirty game by any means with only 4 fouls committed, but we did end up with 4 yellow cards in that match. Okay, let's begin with Harbour View. Last week bye might be the reason for their slow start in this match, but when they got things going, they look pretty decent. Reed and Brown are starting to form a little partnership which should give them the goals that the team needs, but they will also be disappointed that they were pegged back after taking the lead. As for Treasure Beach, a valiant effort, but maybe the lack of squad depth was why they failed so much in the latter portion of that match. But at least Porter is finding the goals, and if they get his confidence going, he may prove to be dangerous. Anyway, once again, it was Treasure Beach 1, Harbour View 1. Now, onto our final match as high-flying Montego Bay United was hosting winless Spanish Town Police FC. First, the starting lineup for the hosts. Well, the big news was that Jamaica Clark was fit again, but Jordan Fletcher kept his starting spot up front. Harding comes in at right back, and Williams replaced Burton in goal. As for the Police, Danvers and Clark kept their spots on the wings. Facey was impressive last week, so he leads the line again, and Walters captains as per usual for this team. Now, when the game began, Moby started out as a more confident side, but they had to wait all the way to the 9th minute to finally find a breakthrough. Off a right-footed in-swinger from the corner, the big Trinidadian Josiah Triminum beat his man to the ball and power header to the back of the net. 1-0 and the hosts were now off and running. After this, Police consistently faced a wall of pressure as Mobe kept going until they found a second. Wu Ling found Lashada Gibbs surprisingly on the right wing, and he calmly lobbed a pass to the back post for his opposing winger Timar Lewis, who easily took it home for Mobe's second. 2-0 just like that. At this point, things were just too easy for Mobe, who would come close again before the halftime break with his free kick from Wu Ling that draws a good save out of Samuels, but he palmed it straight to Dwight Merrick, who with his current form should have really done better there. But Mobe would take their 2-0 lead into the break. Second half now, and it was more Mobe ways of attack as substitute DeAndre Brown would be next to try and find another goal. But Samuels made a crucial block. After this, Coach Gilbert brought on star striker Jamaica Clark along with the veteran Brian Brown to give them much needed minutes. And Clark would waste no time to get into the action, but his outstretched leg just could not steer the cross on target. But with all his pressure, you knew a goal was coming. After Police set piece, Mobe set off on a counter once again via Brian Brown, who steadied himself before finding DeAndre Brown, who calmly slotted it past Samuels to finally give Mobe their third goal of the night, 3-0. And they weren't done yet as they exploited more space in behind Police back line, this time via Clark, who got himself a goal on his return from injury. 4-0, and that's all she wrote from this encounter. So, it was a dominant display from the winners, but how was the game turned out stats? Well, if you wanted proof that this game was all Mobe, just look at these total attempts, a whopping 18 by Mobe, while Police only had 3. 6 on target for the hosts, while the visitors got nothing on frame. And there was one red card at the end of the match after Ferguson was ejected for violent conduct. Alright, let's begin with Police FC. They may have entered this match without a victory, but they were always competitive in their previous 5 matches. On this night though, for the first time, they were totally outclassed. They also picked up another red card, so now the coaching staff will have to worry about their discipline as well. As for Mobe, after that disappointing loss to Portmore, this match was just what the doctor ordered. Not much to analyze here, they were simply too powerful for their foes. On that note, we state once again, Montego Bay United 4, Spanish Town Police FC 0. So that was match week 5, and despite 4 teams being idle, we still had some movement in the table. Montego Bay is now the one in front with 13 points from their 6 matches played. Racing slipped to second with 11 points. Portmore is keeping track with 11 points in third. Chapelton are moved all the way back to fourth now with 10 points. Waterhouse are in the top 6 with 9, and Arnett remains in the top 6 with 9 in 6th place. Cavalier was idle and they remain in 7th with 7 points. Dumbo only did not play either, who has 7 points in 8th place. Tivoli has 6 points from their 6 matches in 9th. Mount Pleasant has played the least amount of matches, so they're in 10th with 5 points. Cheddar Beach are 11th now with 5 points as well. Harbour is still too close to relegation with 5 points from 5. And Molynes still looking for their first victory, but they have 4 draws to give them 4 points in 13th place. And Spanish Town Police remain at the basement with 1 point from 6 matches played. But alright guys, that would do it for another review show. Thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on everything on the JPL leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, with great JPL content, you're already at the right place, JPL fan. YouTube, big up yourself.